This episode is brought to you by Iams Pet Food. When you choose Iams dry dog or cat food, you can see a difference in your pet with your own eyes. Healthy energy in 5 days, healthy digestion in 10 days, and healthy skin and coat in just 25 days. Satisfaction for you and them. Guaranteed or your money back. Feed Iams dry dog or cat food and see a visible difference. Visit iams.com/difference to learn more.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
It's game time. And if you've got a hunch about this NBA season, you could turn it into a big win on FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win.
Ooh, that guy's hotter than a microwave burrito.
Now that's a red-hot hunch.
21 plus and present in Ohio. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouser Tommies on Anfield Index. I'm Jim Boardman and I'm with Jay Reid, and we've missed a couple of weeks. Not quite, because we're kind of going early in this week. It's an international break again, a time where nothing much happens in football usually, except, of course, with Liverpool, there's always something happening. We've got 3 games to talk about since we last did a podcast, and something or other involving a referee. A certain Mr. David, let me just see if I got his name right, Coote. Wasn't sure because there was another word I kept hearing in some video that was out with him recently. Well, Jay, I don't know where to start really, other than to say 3 great, but I can't even say it, 3 great games for Liverpool, despite the refereeing in one of them maybe. And then, I don't know, it depends how you want to look at it. I mean, I think we should start with the ref. Let's get on to the games in a minute. It's David Coote. A video has been released from, it looks like it was recorded sometime during the COVID pandemic, because he's talking about, he makes a kind of joke as if he's pretending to be 2 meters apart from the person sat next to him. So it looks like someone has been hanging on to this video for a while and has suddenly decided to let it go and let it be released, which is, maybe there's another story in that. He's now being charged, I believe, or he's about to be charged by the FA, because some of the stuff he said is an aggravated breach of the FA's rules because it brings someone's nationality into it. That's one way of putting it. And the PGMOL are looking into it, but yeah, can we trust them? But I don't know. It just we've had these comments before about how the PGMOL say, "Oh, he can't referee that game because you're from Sheffield, you can't referee a Sheffield Wednesday or Sheffield United game. You're from Manchester, supposedly you shouldn't be refereeing a City or United game." Yet, but we know ourselves, if you're from Greater Manchester, there's a chance that you're not actually mad on Scousers or on Liverpool as a city or on Liverpool as a club. And we've said in the past, maybe just to avoid any sort of accusations of bias or otherwise, that you shouldn't be refereeing those games. Another example of a city like that is Nottingham, because of our rivalry with Nottingham Forest back in the day. A lot of Nottingham Forest fans have a strong dislike of Liverpool fans. Not all of them. There are some that are good. But there's a definite chance that someone from Nottingham is going to have it in for Liverpool and for Scousers. And basically that seems to be what's happened. Without even starting on what we said in the video, we see enough to know that he's definitely got by the looks of that video, a strong bias against Liverpool. And now you look back at all those decisions, and I don't know where to start with him. I don't know whether he can referee a game. That's another matter, but he definitely shouldn't be refereeing any of our games. But to me, there's more to it than that. You can't just say he's one bad apple. I think it needs to be looked at to prevent this happening again.
Yeah. I think, if people haven't seen the video and are living in the football world, then probably living under a rock. Given that, the headlines it's caused is probably the best way to put it. It is strange that it's been released now. There's theories and questions as to why, Aston Villa fans have had a bit of an issue with the weekend's game. We'll get back to that later, but, would it be an Aston Villa fan who thinks, well, I've had all of this and I'll just prove how much of a dodgy referee is, but then, it doesn't prove that he was biased towards Liverpool anyway. If anything, he was completely biased against Liverpool. See the most solid instant for that one. But, the history books, when you go through them and see key incidents around our seasons and see that he is probably connected in one way or another to massive incidents in massive games, it doesn't look good. And then when he comes out saying the things that he did, whether he was under the influence of anything or not, because, it would suggest he may have been slightly out of control of what he was actually saying. But, there is the old saying, you say your true feelings when you've had a few too many, and you sort of speak the truth, the hard truth comes out. And, we aren't fools on this podcast. We aren't fools in this club or city. We know very well that the people of Liverpool, not just Liverpool fans, Scousers in general, are not liked around the country for one reason or another. A lot of it is due to bile spouted by national media. And a lot of it comes down to, just negative stereotyping. But then, as we've often said for many a podcast in years gone by doing this, that, quite often people are surprised that they have this preconceived, judgments on Scousers and Liverpool as a city, and then yet when they come here, they really enjoy the city, they embrace, everything that goes on in and around the city, and the people, they usually walk away thinking, actually, I've got that all wrong. And that'll be probably maybe a minority of the population who think that, because a lot of the people probably wouldn't even go to the lengths of opening up their minds to come here and see what actually we are about as people in the city. But we know that goes on, and we deal with it. Not necessarily to say we've got a huge ally for people of other cities, maybe people on the M62, there could be quite a bit of tension there, but, that's by the by in this case, because, some of the things that were said were beyond a bit of stereotyping. They were quite personal. And yeah, it doesn't do many favours whether he'll referee again. I don't know. I don't think he'll referee in the top flight, put it that way. If he does, he might be condemned to lower down the pyramid, and that doesn't mean, it's right. But I think, if you're looking at it, you take your football tribalism hat off, and put maybe just a professional workplace hat on. Like he has said some things that are quite derogatory, and he might get a heavy slap on the wrist from, his employment people. And, it might be repositioned into a different part of the company, as they say, and sort of be demoted from the luxury of whatever he gets as a Premier League referee. Does that mean he can then referee Tranmere? I don't know, because they're from across the pond in terms of the city, but there's got to be repercussions in this. It can't be swept under the carpet. It can't just be oh yeah, he said these things. It's a historical video because it was from, a few years ago. Because if it was, then everything that's gone on since then There's huge question marks over the validity of his decisions, and we've said many a times and often speculated, there's got to be a couple of times that referees need seriously looking at, because some of the decisions they make are far beyond, human error judgment. They're a little bit too fishy and a little bit too one way in certain games and situations. But this is a big can of worms. It's happening in the international break, and I don't think the eyes will be taken off it because there's a couple of international games taking place. I think what it will do is the Premier League, the PGM are well, and Liverpool as a club I've got a couple of weeks to take a good long look at this, and there's a small part of you that thinks, I hope they just do the right thing, but there's actually quite a large part of you that thinks, I doubt the right thing will be done, but I don't think the club should let it lie. I don't think Jurgen Klopp, person in question of some of the slurs, should let it lie. And yeah, I think now we're at a big moment in terms of, what goes on with the PGO and what their referees are doing behind closed doors and what they're saying. It's often been questioned, and then, it then delves into, the validity of the sport and the actual competitiveness of what's gone on in recent years. And, the main ones that spring to mind for me are like the Odegaard handball from last season. And, the Van Dijk challenge from Pickford in the derby. And, could have been career-ending for Van Dijk. And it was sort of brushed off like, it was just a coming together. And the Odegaard one was, it was a natural movement to the arm, which we all knew absolutely wasn't. And then even, the weekend, fast forward to that and the Mo Salah instance, and obviously the retrospective is that Darwin goes on and scores the goal, but if he doesn't, then what happens? Do VAR get involved? Well, yes, they should do VAR with a certain Mr. Paul Tierney on. Does he back his pal up on the pitch, or does he have the balls to, go against him? And if so, does he just say, get to the screen and have a look at it? And then does Mr. Coos have the minerals within his body to say, I messed up here and I need to do the right thing? A lot of that would have been very subject to question, and the fact that it got called out by a lot of pundits, which it normally wouldn't, just kind of shows how big of an error it was. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. But that's it. I don't know. We've got to hope the right thing is done. But I do just have that big question mark of doubt of whether the right thing will actually be done.
At Sierra, discover joyous deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Like cozy slippers, ski gear, fishing poles, bikes, large kayaks, even larger canoes. Whew, which might lead to another discovery. Wrapping gifts is the only sport you need to stay fit this season. 'Tis the season to discover great gifts at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Prep for Thanksgiving at Whole Foods Market. Save now on no antibiotics ever frozen whole turkey, just $1.49 a pound with Prime. Sales on brie and select seafood appetizers help get things started. For sides, go with wallet-happy favorites from 365 by Whole Foods Market. And finish with decadent desserts from the bakery. Or get your whole spread catered. Just order early. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
I posted something on Threads, actually, because I've given up on Twitter for the time being. Just saying that, and they have done that, but why haven't the FA jumped in to say they're charging him and investigating him? Because if a player had posted something, like posted a video, or if a video would come out of a player saying stuff that gave the impression that he could be open to accusations of, well, let's say cheating, because there was, whatever it was, there was stuff that he said in this pretend video I'm just making up of some player, and he gave the impression that he could be cheating. He might be something about, I don't know, to giving fouls away so that it gets a yellow within a certain time in the game, or whatever sort of things people bet on, giving inside information away about transfers, anything like that. Players can get into a lot of trouble for that, and the FA are quick as a flash onto that, and they're in trouble. If it was something else, if it was some sort of discriminatory content that was coming out from them, the FA would be quick as a flash onto that. And I couldn't understand why the FA weren't the first ones involved on this. I can't trust the PGMOL to do any investigating, because the thing I said just at the beginning was about the bias against Liverpool, and we've covered it on this podcast many a time. You've got David Ellery from South Yorkshire. South Yorkshire is, I've nothing against the place. I think I know some people from not too far away from South Yorkshire who I get on with okay. But I also know there's a massive dislike of Liverpool, and a lot of it relates to them basically taking sides and, falling in line with what the police said about Liverpool back in 1989. So there's definitely that sort of history. Not David Ellery, that's another manager. Does Howard Webb have that same kind of attitude to Liverpool? Who knows? Maybe he'd have to get very drunk on a video for us to find out. Does Tierney have that sort of attitude to Liverpool? There's a chance. He's only from down the road in Wigan, and there's a lot of Liverpool fans there, but there's also a lot of people who don't like Liverpool there, so maybe he's got that underneath him. And I just wonder this video's come out, and he's quite clearly looking at the state, as someone said, looking at the state of his eyes. His eyes are like dish plates or something, that he's not in his most sober of moments when he's come out with this stuff. But even so, as you said, you have a drink, you don't tend to sort of say things when you've had a drink that are untrue. You tend to say things that you would normally hold back from saying. So there's, generally speaking, there's some truth in there, and you might be ashamed of it later on when you find out what you said if you've had that much to drink. And we've all had times when we've had too much to drink. It just feels like he's being paid decent money for what he's on, for what he does. You might say, it's nothing like a player gets. It's a lot more than most people in most lines of work do. There's a certain sort of limit to how far they should be find themselves in these situations. But I just think there's no smoke without fire, and I can't believe it can be so extreme, and there to have never been a hint of him having these sort of opinions when he's been chatting to his mates at the PGMOL, when they've had the sort of briefings every week after the weekend's games or whatever. I can't believe that when they're on their away days or whatever it is that they do together, that there's not little jokes coming out from him about stuff like this. That this might be the more extreme version. Maybe this is a version where he felt he didn't need to hold back. But I still can't believe myself that there hasn't been some incidents of this in the past. We'll never know.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN. making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
But if referees really have got integrity, this is the thing. We're supposed to respect referees. If anyone ever in football puts any doubt on the integrity of a ref, the FA straight away the fining them. You get yourself fined. You get yourself in trouble. You might get suspended fines. You could even get bans from the game and all kinds of things if you start even suggesting that a referee lacks integrity. You can call them bad for making mistakes, but if you sort of give any impression that they could be biased, you're in trouble. Well, how on earth can we now be expected to just take that for granted that referees aren't biased? They must be. And if they had any integrity, they wouldn't just be saying, like in the case of David Coote, he's supposedly a Notts County fan, and so he can't referee Notts County games or Nottingham Forest games. What is it? Our mate from Greater Manchester that supports
Accrington, Mr. Taylor, is it?
Yeah, is it Altrincham he supports?
Altrincham, sorry, yes.
Yeah. So he can't referee Altrincham games. Well, you're not going to be refereeing, with all due respect to Alty, who are down in outside. Yeah, they're not going to be your Premier League on your Premier League menu for a while, are they? So you should just have the ability to turn around and say, look, be totally honest with you, I support Altrincham, but maybe keep me away from games involving these clubs as well. It's not hard to do. If I decided to be a referee and I couldn't, if I decided to be a referee, I would have to list a lot of clubs I couldn't referee, and I think the problem in my case is I couldn't referee anyone. But if I was a referee and I managed to detach myself enough, there would still be clubs I would say, nah, you're best keeping me away from those games. I don't think it would hurt for the refs now if they have got any integrity to just stick their hands up. Bit of an amnesty maybe and say, look, don't stick me on any Liverpool games or don't stick me on any Arsenal games, whoever it is. The other thing that's kind of come out of this as well, though, is I even saw an Everton post somewhere on social media, someone saying an Everton fan sort of made up with it, absolutely made up with it. Yeah, it has a go. The whole video basically slags Scousers off as well. It's not just about anti-Liverpool or anti-Klopp. So I found that, typical of some Everton fans, if you like. I know others will stand up for the city, but there is this sort of attitude of hating Liverpool so much that they'll step on their own feet. But the other side to this that could get Coote in the most trouble is it's effectively, I don't know if the right word is racist, but it's called him a German C word in it. And I don't know, I'd love to know more about how the video came about. And it starts me wondering, is there some kind of, I don't know, I wonder which political party these people vote for. You know what I'm trying to say? It's bad. And although this could be a complete shock to PGMOL, I just don't believe it was.
No, I think you mentioned earlier on, they must get together. There's definitely a WhatsApp group for these lads. Yeah. If that ever gets leaked, I think, they're in a massive world of shit, to be honest here. Because, you can kind of picture the scene of a key instance. So let's take it back to the video, and it stemmed from, a lot of it was an instance on the touchline involving Mr. Coote and Jurgen Klopp, and Klopp sort of went beyond the means of having a word, we could say, and lost his temper a fair bit, and probably for fair reason for something that was going on in the game. I can't remember the exact game in question. I know some people will be able to pinpoint it, but you can sort of imagine the amount of times that Klopp sort of lost his frustration, or Pep or Arteta have been quite theatrical in recent years on the touchline, and the fourth officials just sort of brushed him off and sit down, boy. You can kind of imagine the memes flying around their referee of yeah, look at how I dealt with him. See that? I put Pep in his place. You sort of your banterish that you'd have on a WhatsApp group, but then if you know, it's getting to the point of where, you know, banter crosses the line and it becomes, you know, offensive in a way. And then the language that was used by Kuz, you know, in some, you know, terms would be deemed like as a bullying or offensive sort of language. And, you know, it can be taken a lot further. If that was to happen, as we said, you know, in a workplace, you know, that could be, you know, quite severe and dealt with in a quite severe manner because of the language that was used. So it's not good. But I should say with the location of referees, and we've said many a times that where these referees, you know, tend to come from, there's the weird, distinct amount that come from the Greater Manchester area, and there's not a chance that they all support small non-league or lower league clubs. You know, it just doesn't happen. You know, I've got a mate in work who supports Wigan because he's from Wigan, or he will like have a slight affinity towards Everton because you know, he just does. And you know,
I know. I actually know an Altrincham fan, and he's Altrincham fan. That's who he supports. But his other half's a Man United fan, and he definitely has a soft spot for Man United. He's all right considering, but you know,
there is these people in the world.
Yes, exactly. You know, but again, you know, he couldn't referee a Liverpool game if that was the case, because if he was being straight, he'd say no, because I've got too much of an affinity with Man United, even though they're not my team. There's still a link.
There's got to be, like, you know, a lot of question marks used to be raised on Mike Dean, who's from the Wirral, which you know is probably closer to Liverpool than Altrincham is to Manchester, and is a Tranmere Rovers fan, has been seen and known to frequent Prenton Park because he's a Tranmere Rovers fan. Nothing wrong with that. That's where he's from. That's who he supports. But there will be members of his family, probably very close family, who are either Liverpool or Everton fans. Yes, he refereed Liverpool and Everton games. That probably shouldn't have happened, you know, because it's far too close to home. I can remember numerous times when actually probably games when Mike Dean was in charge, and you would often think he's not giving us anything because he is under the microscope because he's from the Wirral. Yeah. You know, like he's actually going out of his way to try and, you know, quell the possibility of the fact that, you know, because he's a local referee in the sense of a word, that, you know, if Liverpool were playing Newcastle or Southampton or Bournemouth, you know, the odd decision that was up for, you know, contention, he would often give to the other team, because it's like, well, you know, I can't be seen to be giving Liverpool the decisions at Anfield because I'm from over the water.
50-50s go the other way, so he doesn't look bad, basically.
Yeah, and there's new, like we were having this discussion today in work, there's numerous podcasts out there now with ex-referees on. You know, they're getting more of a platform, and, you know, it does happen. Let's not try and lie and kid ourselves here. Like, you know, there's referees out there and they've said, like, you know, I've gone into games with a preconceived judgment about certain players or teams.
Yeah.
You know, and said, like, you know, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove, you know, let's say Roy Keane, for example, you know, I'm going out there and then I'm not going to let Roy Keane get away with some of the stuff that he gets away with, because during the 90s, Roy Keane and Sir Alex Ferguson, Man United, got away with a lot of referees, and some of them had that, you know, bit between the teeth and said, like, well, no, I'm going to prove that we're not giving Everton to United, and I'm going to put Roy Keane in his place and sort of knock him down a peg or two. And, you know, this happened all around the country, and there's, you know, numerous, you know, examples of it. But referees are coming out and speaking, so it does happen, because there is these preconceived, you know, stereotypes and judgments. But yeah, it's when you think the optics aren't good. And
the holidays are here at the Home Depot, so let's get to decorating. Find your perfect tree in our huge assortment of shapes, sizes, and styles. Like the easy-to-assemble Jackson Noble Fir, with pre-lit branches perfect for styling with all your favorite ornaments. Or the Flock Starry Light Fraser fir, with over 1,900 pre-lit memory wire branches that keep their shape so it's ready right out of the box. Ooh. Find the perfect tree now at the Home Depot.
We've said many a time that there's got to be a bigger pool of referees from around the country. Maybe even dip into, Wales or Scotland or Ireland and say, like, have you got any referees that we could use? As you said, if they're in the Premier League, I'm sure they're paid a three-figure annual salary, which is significantly more than the mass population of the country, and I'm sure they get other luxuries and bonuses with it, to help them along the way in terms of travel and whatever, and remuneration costs for hotels and stuff like that. But you would probably find maybe referees from other parts of the United Kingdom would maybe not have such an affinity to certain clubs, and then you might just find a more level playing field standard of refereeing. But we're looking at the ideal scenarios and where they are, and just think, when you mentioned the fella who's in charge of it all is former South Yorkshire policeman Howard Webb, it doesn't really fill you with any sort of optimism that these things would take place.
No, that's the trouble, and it needs someone else to come in. The PGML shouldn't be marking their own homework, basically, which is what they do. And that's it's basically a commercial organisation, unless I've missed something. So their job is, as an organisation, is they want to keep the deals that they've got with football, to keep being able to provide referees to football. They've got no competition. It needs some oversight from somebody else. I don't see why. I think that's a great idea to look for refs from outside of England as well. Why not actively try and recruit referees as well? It's not a job I would want to do, but I'm sure there's plenty you would, and maybe you'd get people who aren't, we joke about referees, we slag referees off, we have a go at referees. There's no reason for them to be treated like that if they're not doing anything that makes us want to treat them like that. And I think maybe we just need a new breed of referee in this country as well, just people who, I don't know, aren't sort of wannabe traffic wardens, for want of a better way of putting it. Nothing against traffic. I'm not a fan of traffic wardens. Can't say nothing against traffic wardens. I get why we have them. I get why we have referees, but I just think referees could be better. It's hard to find someone that's truly a football fan that isn't a fan of a team as well. You mentioned Mike Dean. Another thing there is, maybe secretly his second team is Everton, or secretly his second team is Liverpool. And the thing is, we don't know. And that to me is what any accusations of bias come from, the possibility that someone could be biased, and either, as you say, playing it too hard to not look biased and going too far the other way, or just literally being biased. But as far as Coot's concerned, it's really hard after seeing the video, and his hatred, and it felt like absolute hatred of Liverpool, the city, the club, the manager, everyone except James Milner. I'm not sure why he likes James Milner. Maybe we'll find out more. But you look at some of the stuff that's gone on, and the one that jumps out to me, and obviously the basketball incident recently, but he was a VAR the day that Virgil van Dijk nearly had his career ended. The day, Virgil had a terrible injury, and he lost so much football because he wasn't the same player again for a long time. Some people still say he isn't. I disagree. I think he is really good now still. But it was Mike Oliver I think he was the VAR, wasn't he, when we had that stupid decision at the Spurs game for the Diaz goal that was ruled out. Certainly he was involved somewhere on that. Was he the fourth official? But for this Everton game, this derby, Jordan Pickford took Virgil out, and basically Oliver, who was the ref, and Coote, who was the fourth official, the VAR, spent time looking whether it was offside or not, and didn't even bother to check. As it was reported, Coote forgot to check if it should have been a red card. Forgot. Now, at the time you think, well, that's absent-minded, isn't it? That's incompetent. But now you think, no, that was biased. And that's one that stuck out to me. Obviously, the other day against Villa, how that wasn't some kind of punishment. He should have been having his arms up, waving advantage. I just don't get why he didn't wave advantage.
I seen it. Is it Dale Johnson, the ESPN guy who does the Monday bread thing? I see. You're not on Twitter at the moment, but he does the post of key referee and VAR incidents from the weekend in the Premier League, and goes through the protocol of incidents, what happened, what did the VAR do, what should the VAR have done, and what should the outcome have been. And I think, if I recall rightly, had Darwin have missed, it subsequently would have went back to the Salah incident. I think it was Leon Bailey at the time we pulled him back, and subsequently he should have been sent off as the last man. But you question, would that have happened? Because the on-field decision, as we clearly saw from the camera angle behind the goal, he waves it off like, nothing to see there, boss, carry on. Like, the old good process, lads, sort of thing. And, as I said earlier on, like, he then would have been either instructed from Tierney, who was on VAR, to say, look, you've got that one wrong, he's last man, he needs to go. Or, the good old, go and have a look at the screen, because you've mucked up there, pal. But you just now think, would he have actually done the right thing? Would he have sent Leon Bailey off? And, actually, would Villa have been better off if Leon Bailey had been sent off and it was named 0-0, and we'd had a free kick from 25, 30 yards, which we may or may not have scored from? And, at that point in the game, I think it was about 20-odd minutes in, would then Villa have changed their tactics, bedded in, all the stuff, blah, blah, blah? And would the result then have been different? You just don't know. But it's just too many of the massive incidents that have cost us around him.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of one cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.